Hi, YouTube fam. Have you ever heard people say, oh my gosh, look at her. She must be going through a midlife crisis. Well, you know what? I'm not having a midlife crisis. You might be having a midlife crisis, but I'm having a midlife awakening. Let's talk about it. Well, I had a whole script that I was going to do on this, but you know what? I like to pride myself that I'm authentic, that I am just me. Yeah, this is me. If you meet me in person, this is what you're going to get. Yeah, I'm a little much. But anyways, have you ever heard people talk about midlife crises? Well, you know, I've been accused of that. And it's okay. I mean, I really don't care. I embrace it. But the thing is, I like to refer to it as a mid-crisis awakening. You know, I got divorced when I was around 50 years old. I was married to the same man for about 27 years, 26 years. We were together over 30. We had two amazing kids that are now adults. And, well, we just grew apart. But the thing was, when I was in that relationship, I was very, well, let's go back to when I was a kid. I always tell people I was really always very different. And I knew I was different. I kind of lived in my own little fantasy world. I grew up in the country. I spent a lot of time sitting in trees simply because I had nobody to play with because we lived out and I was always barefoot. And I spent a lot of time in trees. I like to climb trees. I wished I could climb trees now, but I can't. But anyways, I can remember sitting in trees just thinking about things and thinking about the world, you know, and of course, in my when I was about 12 years old, I tell people I can really tell that is when my life kind of changed. And being diagnosed with ADHD at 40 and then not getting medicated till my late 50s, it was just really, I knew I was different. I always knew I was different. And it's okay to be different. I embrace being different. So, where I'm going with this story, I grew up and I was different. Okay. But, you know, I had friends. I lived in a very small town. I was on a dance team. I tried to do a lot of things, but there was always girls that were a little bit more popular than me. That's okay. But the thing is, as I grew older, like I said, I always knew things were different. And then, of course, I met my husband and we dated for several years and then we got married. Well, I think when a woman, and I'm not going to say all women, but sometimes we just kind of lose our identity when we go into a marriage. Then we become mothers. And basically, I didn't know who Candace was. I knew that I was my kid's mother. I knew I was his wife, but I didn't know who I was, you know? And I missed, well, actually, I had forgot all about that little quirky girl that I was when I was a kid. Now, if you're new to my channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Candace Lynn. Yes, this is my channel, Carry On Candace. I named it Carry On Candace because basically when I came into my mid-crisis awakening, it was basically just carry on, Candace, you know? So again, like I said, when I got a divorce, it was just it was an awakening. Now I was still quite a bit overweight and I was working a lot of hard jobs, crazy jobs in social work and just stuff like that. And I was always saving people. And it's not until now that I finally realized I couldn't save people anymore. I had to save myself. So now, if you know me, I work in a funeral home. Yep, I see dead people. And honestly, it's one of the best jobs I've ever had. Next to working with kids. I used to work with special needs children. But now that I work in a funeral home, it's just, there's a lot less stress, unless we're just really, really busy. So, like I said, I hung up my Superman cape, and now I work in a funeral home. And I plan on staying there until I retire or die. Whatever comes first. But I get a lot of people on my YouTube channel, and I'm not a huge success. I would like to be, but I try to be as authentic as I possibly can. And I get so many really nice compliments from you, from all of you, my 600 and something subscribers. And y'all say some of the nicest things to me, but some of them you say, I love your authenticity. There's just so many, and there's so many neat, I just can't explain them all. But I love the compliments, and I love that a lot of you relate to me, and I appreciate that, because that is what I want to do. I want to be able for you or anybody to relate to me and share my video with somebody if you feel like they need a little boost, or they need to know, you know, if they're going through a divorce or they're going through this midlife thing. Please share my video. I'd be happy. If they did watch my videos, they can reach out to me. I do keep my email in my description, so you're more than welcome to send me an email if you can. I try to check it as often as I can. Sometimes it might be a little while, but in past videos, I talked about my children always going on about they say you're having a midlife crisis. Well, the reason they say that is because after I lost a lot of weight, which I had surgery to do that, but I didn't do it for vanity purposes. I did it because I was a ticking time bomb. I was 300 pounds, and not that I'm like super skinny now. I don't care if I'm super skinny, as long as everything is under control, like my blood pressure, everything like that. I'm happy. I don't have to be 155 pounds. I'm like 180, 185. When I go to the doctor, they tell me I'm still considered obese. But you know what? How I feel is what's important. And so I've talked to y'all about my kids telling me, you know, our mom's a little much. But you know what? I think when I was married, I just became reserved. I became my kid's mom. I became my husband's wife. And I was the Girl Scout leader, the Boy Scout leader. I was the dance team coach. I was everything to everybody. But I just lost who Candace was. So a while back, my daughter and I were having a conversation, and I don't date. I really don't date anyone. I've tried to date, but then, you know, this is what always comes to me when I think about dating or trying to date. And I remember there was a time that I was so lonely and I wanted to meet somebody. But I can remember seeing this quote came out, and I know God must have sent it, but one day I saw this: do not put the key to your happiness in someone else's pocket. And that really hit me. That really hit me, because I thought I needed somebody else to fulfill me, to make me feel better. And so, I felt like I needed to be loved. And I thought, I need somebody to love me. I need somebody to take care of me. And then one day I just realized, I thought, well, I don't need anybody to do that. I'm not putting the key to my happiness in somebody else's pocket. And I remember when I worked with young mothers when they were in drug rehabs, I would always use that. I would always tell them that, you know, because they were like, oh, I got to get back with my old man. I got to get back with my baby daddy. Yeah, okay. But make yourself happy first. And then that'll all come. But don't put the key to your happiness in somebody else's pocket and expect them to make you happy. So my daughter and I were having a conversation, and I said, you know, I just understand, you know, I don't think, do people not like me? I mean, you know, what's wrong with me? Am I ugly? You know, I'm not attractive, you know, because I admit I had a crush on a guy in the place that I worked, and I just really liked him. But, you know, we were just coworkers, and now he's dating somebody else. And I can remember the other day I told my daughter, I said, hey, am I as pretty as she, you know? And, you know, again, why was I self-doubting myself, you know? And my daughter goes, Mom, it's not that. She said, you're pretty and you're attractive. But she said, Mom, I think what scares men off when they get around you is your personality. She said, I think a lot of men cannot handle your personality, which made me think of the person that I dated before. Him and I dated a couple years ago. And I remember he told another friend of mine that he really did care about me, but he couldn't keep up with me. And a lot of that was because I'm a lot, I guess, you know? And so anyways, yeah. So there I was, you know, I was self-doubting myself. I thought, you know, what is it about me that people don't like. But again, it came back to the point that she said, Mom, I just think a lot of men do not understand your personality, or your personality might do something to kind of turn them away. And I thought to myself, I kind of looked at her and I was like, but I've lived my whole life for other people. And she said, I know, Mom, and I understand. You know, I had to make their father happy, and I had to make them happy, and I had to make my parents happy, and I've lived my whole life trying to make everybody else happy, but Candace. So, after I got a divorce and I learned to live on my own and pay my own bills and fix my own things around my house, I realized the only person that can make Candace happy is Candace. And so I've learned to embrace what I have. So a little quick story. When I did decide, my husband and I decided to separate, I remember God sending me a scripture. And it was a scripture that I had seen everywhere. You'd seen it on posters, I'd seen it on everything. And this scripture had always spoke to me. And especially after I was on my own, because I was scared. I mean, I went straight from my parents to my husband. I had never taken care of myself before, in a sense like that. And so I can remember the scripture from Proverbs 31 is about the virtuous woman. It says she is clothed in strength and dignity and laughs without fear of the future. In so many words, that's what it says. And so when I got into my first apartment after my separation, I found that scripture, that saying on a poster, or it was on like a canvas. And I put that in my house in front of my bed. And when I would wake up every morning, I would see that she's clothed in strength and dignity and, and I didn't fear the future anyways. So I would look at that every morning. So then when I bought my house several years later, it's in my house, and I will place a picture of it here. And on my wall in my bedroom, I had this picture, or had it put on my wall, and I kind of messed up on it. But anyways, that is in my house now. But she is clothed with strength and dignity and laughs without fear of the future. And I had to always remind myself of that. When there were some days I didn't have enough money to pay my electric bill, I had to remember she's clothed with strength and dignity. And again, that's where I decide that, and quirkiness, maybe I needed to add that. So I'm not here to preach to you about anything, but that is just a scripture that has always got me through. So when I remember when I was moving from my duplex into my new house that I had bought, I had purchased my own house. And I remember having that little canvas, and I gave it to a girl that I worked with. And I gave it to her because she, at the time, was going through a divorce and was very scared and uncertain because she had a young child. And I said, here, just remember this. Just always remember this. God is going to place this in your life as long as you have strength and dignity. And sometimes I do forget about that little scripture, but then, like I said, sometimes I wake up every morning and I look at it every morning when I wake up and I see it above my bed. So where I'm going with this is, and I will do a video on it later, but midlife crisis versus midlife awakening. I didn't have a midlife crisis. I had a midlife awakening. I found out who I truly was. It took me over 50 years to get to that point. And I don't regret anything about it. And, and like my daughter, about people, men must be scared of my personality. That's okay. Because I'm okay. I'm happy. I have a good job. I don't have a lot of money. Definitely don't have a lot of money. I struggle just like anybody else. But just being able to embrace my true self, being able to realize that quirky little girl that used to sit in trees is now this amazing, hopefully motivating 50-something-year-old woman. I got one more year in my 50s. I'll be 60 next year. But if you can't take one thing from this video, it's just embrace your authentic self, okay? This is midlife. This is another chapter that God has given us, and the rest, as my favorite song, and I do have a video about that, the rest is still unwritten. We still have a lot to write. Now, maybe we don't. Who knows? We may get called home sooner. But you know what? Embrace what you have. Enjoy who you are. Embrace who you are. Like me. I cut my hair short. I got a pixie. Got my nose pierced. Got a couple of tattoos. It's just because I wanted, it wasn't a midlife crisis. It was an awakening. It was something that I desired when I was younger, but I couldn't do because I felt like people were judging me. Now, I don't worry about people judging me. I don't think about it. Now I don't want to disappoint my kids. In conclusion of this video, I'd say my key points would be, and like I said, I had a script and I didn't really go by it. And I remember I put it in ChatGPT and GPT, whatever that is. And it kind of had some different things to talk about. And but again, I want to be authentic. And I want you to take away from this video that you have a chapter that's unwritten, and you are the one that needs to write your chapter. And don't put the key to your happiness in somebody else's pocket. Now, I'm not telling you if you're in a marriage and you think you just need to run off and get a divorce. No, I'm not encouraging that. You can still find your true, authentic self, even if you are in a relationship. Me, I was a little bit different because I think I was just really, really oppressed and depressed. And I was 300 pounds over. I was over 300 pounds. And like I said, my awakening started long before I had even lost weight. I had started, it's when I realized I could take care of myself, that I could pay my own phone bill, that I could pay my own electric bill. I lived in a crappy apartment. I bought a couple of different cars. So, like I said, find joys in your authentic self. And like I said, look at these earrings. Yeah, me, one of my favorite things to do is bargain shop. I paid 99 cents for these, and it brings me so much joy. So I'm encouraging you, or anybody that you may know and you want to share this video with them, find your authentic self. And hey, shoot me a comment down below and let me know, what are you doing to embrace your midlife awakening? Don't let anybody tell you you're having a midlife crisis just because you got your hair in a pixie and you got your nose pierced and you got a few tattoos. You're not having a midlife crisis, honey. You're having a midlife awakening. God created you to be happy. He didn't create you to be sad or sit around and let other people judge you. Let them judge you. Because you're pretty awesomely made. That's what I hear. Thanks for joining me. Catch you in the next video. Drop me a comment and subscribe. And like I said, send this to somebody you think might need a little pick-me-up and know that they are worthy. Have a good day and see you in the next one.